The PC campus police are at it again, literally forcing professors to twist themselves in knots to use the politically correct pronouns for their students. And there are serious ramifications for those who fail to do so. On the campus of Southern Utah University, a tenured professor is suing the school for being forced to refer to a student by their non-binary pronoun. Professor Richard Bugg has worked in the university's theater department for over 30 years and says that his right to free speech is being violated. According to the complaint, this started on September 9, 2021, the first day of the fall semester, when a student enrolled in Bugg's class requested that the professor refer to them using they/them pronouns. Bugg refused, instead offering to use the student's name or whatever singular pronoun or proper name the student preferred. The lawsuit also claims that the professor attempted to not use female pronouns, but admitted that he, quote, unintentionally did so 2 or 3 times. The student then submitted a formal complaint to the university's Title IX office on September 15, 2021. Another student in the class also submitted a complaint claiming to have been offended by Professor Bugg's refusal to honor the first student's request. 5 days after these complaints were submitted, the university initiated a formal investigation. It found that Professor Bugg's refusal to address the students by their preferred pronouns was in violation of the school's policy and was discrimination and harassment based on gender identity, and even constituted sexual harassment. The policy is outlined in the university's College of Performing Arts undergraduate handbook, which states, quote, students have the right to express their gender identity freely. The faculty are committed to creating a safe, positive learning environment for each and every student. If a student would prefer that we use a gender-specific pronoun, please let faculty know during class introductions, office hours, or by email. The university sanctioned Professor Bugg by implementing these 3 sanctions. First, that Professor Richard Bugg submit to education about current views and opinions of English language and grammar experts and resources that using gender-neutral pronouns when referring to individual is now considered grammatically correct. Second, if Professor Bugg continues to refuse to make a good faith effort to use preferred pronouns, may result in further sanction up to and including termination. And third, if Professor Bugg refuses to make a good faith effort to use pronouns requested by SUU students, and as a result students refuse to register for sections of classes he teaches, SUU will open additional section of those classes and Professor Bugg's pay will be reduced to offset the amount SUU must pay for the additional sections. Now, Bugg appealed the sanctions, and his appeal was denied. The school decided to add on an extra sanction, which said, quote, Professor Richard Bugg must review and edit as necessary his syllabus language to ensure it aligns with department guidance related to gender pronouns and submit the syllabus for approval by the department chair 2 weeks before the start of the fall 2022 semester. Now he's suing the university. And the defendants named include the university's president and the dean of the university's Department of Theater, Dance, and Arts. And the lawsuit makes Professor Bugg's position clear, which says, quote, I am opposed to the coercion of speech that is taking place in our campus and on most campuses. Asking people to use plural pronouns to refer to individuals is one thing. Forcing them to do it is another, and contrary to our rights of free speech. And if you're wondering, yes, Professor Bugg is teaching classes this fall. We're joined now by the professor's attorney, Jerry Mooney. Jerry, thanks very much for joining us. Appreciate it. All right, so let me ask you this. What efforts did your client make to accommodate the student in question?
What Professor Bugg did was tried to, as a substitute, use the individual's proper name. In fact, he asked the individual if there was another way that they would prefer to be addressed using another name or even another singular pronoun. His objection was to the use of the plural pronoun.
And so they weren't able to reach a sort of accommodation, but he is still teaching there, right? So he hasn't been fired yet, but there is the sense that it's pretty close if things continue this way?
It's hanging over his head at this point. Obviously, he's in grave danger of people making other complaints. They opened a shadow class for his previous class back in last fall, and they didn't make him pay for that one. They couldn't. but there was a lot of pressure on students to desert and go to that other class, and that certainly created some hard feelings. So one of the things that they're threatening to do now is just that. They said, okay, if students don't want to take your class, we'll create a new class. They can take that class, and oh, by the way, you get to pay for it.
Well, let me ask you this. There is an argument, a sort of argument that says if students don't sign up for his class, right, and people aren't wanting to take his class, that the university is now in a spot where they have a teacher who people don't want to attend his classes. Then there's a sort of, a free market argument to make that maybe they let him go because no one's signing up for his class if that ends up being the case. What do you make of that?
That's a potential risk. I mean, boycotts are always something that could happen. And if sufficient number of students were to completely boycott any classes taught by him, that would be problematic. He is a tenured professor, and that would create some difficulties for them. And he's well respected within the industry. He doesn't want to be a part of this maelstrom. He just wants to help teach students how to succeed within theatrical careers. But here he is.
But he has clearly decided to make a statement here, right? I mean, by saying, I'm not going to agree to call this person they, he's decided to say, you know what, enough is enough with this. It's not grammatically correct in his view, and as a result, he's not going to say it. And I assume your legal argument is it's his constitutional right to do that.
That's right. It's compelled speech. It's one thing for me to say, Dan, you're not allowed to say certain things. You can't address me by certain names. That's offensive to me. And then you should respect that. It's an entirely different thing when you say, by the way, this is what you have to call me. I'm identifying as royalty today, so whenever you talk to me, call me Your Highness.
Your Highness, thank you for coming on the program. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.